This is the Wednesday edition of the NBA Triple Double Show, powered by the Predictive Playbook and presented by SportsMemo TV. We're glad that you took the time to join us, especially knowing that we are on a 14-3 against the spread run over our last 17 picks spanning our last 5 shows, Ronald. That translates into 82.4% winners over the last 5 shows. So that's ancient history. Let's see what we can do for our viewers today and continue our winning ways, looking at a terrific matchup between the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers opened as a 5.5-point home favorite, and it has remained static at that price so far in early action. The total, though, opened at 208.5 and was greeted by a lot of under bets, and some of that was the so-called smart money that sent the under down to 205.5 points. So 50% of the tickets are on the under or the over. It's even, but 65% of the money is betting the under. Miami's coming off a 105-94 straight up and ATS loss at Cleveland as a 5.5-point underdog. And they are 4-6 straight up the last 10 and have won against the spread in the games they won straight up and lost against the spread in the games they lost straight up. So, Ronald, first off in this matchup, do you think that trend continues from Miami?
Yeah, I do actually. That's something that I looked at last night when I was going through this game. Both of these teams are struggling with injuries right now. But at this point, I think the Heat's injuries collectively are affecting the team more than if the Sixers were to even play without Embiid. They were already without Butler, Adebayo, Markieff Morris, Victor Oladipo, and Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin had a great game with the majority of those guys out too. And then I think the following game after that, he got hit with the COVID protocol status. And now you're adding their top bench scorer and Tyler Herro to the injury report too. They're really struggling in that aspect of just having healthy bodies that can play the game. On the Sixers side, both Seth Curry and Joel Embiid were late scratches on Monday. So I got to think they have a good shot of playing today. Especially if they can get a key win over a banged up Heat team, I think that would be key in the playoff rankings later in the season. So I would think they would want to take advantage of this spot. This will be the Sixers' first game of back-to-back games, but knowing that the Nets are having a ton of COVID issues, I feel like that's not going to be much of a look-ahead spot here. So I gotta lean with that trend that you mentioned, where the Sixers lose, they don't cover. Sixers win, they do cover. I think they lose here, and the Sixers cover.
So the Heat lose, Sixers cover, obviously. Yes, 5.5-point favorites, and I am definitely aligned with that. I'll add a supporting betting angle here from the database, betting on favorites that have failed to cover the spread in 4 of the last 5 and playing against an opponent after they covered 2 of their last 3. Over the last 5 seasons, a lot of action. So if you late action, this is a trend and a system that you can follow on your own because it's easy to track. 150 wins, 90 losses against the spread. That translates into a 63% winning angle with lots and lots of plays. So we are aligned on the Philadelphia 76ers. And now we're going to look at the intriguing matchup of sorts. Atlanta Hawks versus the Orlando Magic. The Hawks opened as 7.5-point favorites and are now 8-point favorites. Here again, the balance of tickets is even at 50%, but 62% of the money has seen being bet on the Hawks. And I might add, too, 9 teams in the NBA now have over-winning records as compared to November when there was just 4. And for the season, the under still is commanding a 224, 186, 5 pushes record, translating into 55%. But somehow I think this game is not one of those games that you lean under. And if anything, perhaps we lean over. But let's get your take on this game, Ronald.
Yeah. So the Hawks, they've lost 4 of the last 5 and now head to Orlando to face the Magic, who've lost 12 of their last 13. The Hawks here are the more rested team. This will be only the Hawks' third game in 9 nights, and this will be the Magic's third game in 5 nights. So there's a huge rest advantage there for the Hawks. And offensively is where there's a big gap between these two teams. The Hawks are second in the league in offensive rating, but just 25th in defensive rating. Offensively, they shoot the ball extremely well as a team. They're top 10 in the league in both effective field goal percentage and true shooting percentage. The Magic, they're 28th in the league in offensive rating and just 29th in the league in defensive rating. I really can't find anything that the Magic have as an advantage over the Hawks in this game, other than just playing at home. I think in this situation, you see the Hawks losing 4 of the last 5. You might think 7.5 is a bit much, but for a team, they're playing a team that's really pretty much in a bad spot here, and they're going to be without one of their main ball handlers in Suggs. I think this might be like a smash spot for the Hawks. I think they win by double digits here, so I'd take the Hawks here as favorites.
Yeah, I like that side, and for the show purposes here, I'm leaning towards the over, and we'll do our best bets at the end of the show. The over makes sense to me because Atlanta is one of 3 Eastern Conference teams that actually are allowing more points than they're scoring, and I would consider them a playoff contender, certainly. The Sixers are another one of those teams, and just marginally under a point per game, but nevertheless, the Sixers are allowing more than they're scoring. So I think this could be a high-scoring game, especially if Atlanta gets out to a double-digit lead early. As you suggested, they're going to win by double digits, and I agree with that. The over in betting on teams with a total of 220 to 229.5 that are well rested, playing only 6 or fewer games in their last 2 weeks, and with a winning percentage between 40 and 49% on the season. We're obviously talking about Atlanta here. That has produced 66% winners on a 118, 60, and 2 push record over the last 5 seasons. So I think we might have 2 plays here, side and total, in this matchup. Good job, Ronald. We'll move on here to Wizards versus Kings. Seems like the Wizards haven't been out in the West Coast in like forever, and I could be wrong on that, but it caught my eye that they are out there now. The Kings opened as 1-point favorites, and the market quickly and swiftly installed the Wizards as the 1-point favorite. I'm wondering, Ronald, if you agree with that market movement.
I do. To be honest, like I was on the Kings the last few of their games and I got burnt. Just a few days ago, I added the Kings to what Ski Profit from Wager Talk would call the hell nah list. They're going to be on there for a while, but that doesn't mean I can't bet the total in the Kings games. The Kings are 28th in the league in defensive rating, but they're playing at one of the fastest pace in the league. I actually believe the top pace in the league at the last 5 games. So, I think when you put a bad defense and a fast pace together, I think you're going to be looking at a lot of high scoring games. And that's why this total is one of the higher ones we've seen in the season. Over 220 is kind of rare these days in the NBA. The Wizards are 7-1-1 to the over in their last 9 games. Their defensive rating has dropped significantly since the beginning of the season. And I think the Kings will bounce back offensively after shooting 40% from the field against the Raptors in their last game. This, along with the pace and a lack of defense from both teams, I think this game goes over the total.
And again, I'm with you, buddy, on this one. Supporting database angle here is to bet over with road teams where the total is greater than or equal to 210 points, and we certainly are higher than 210. With one of the teams being Washington in this case, coming off an over result game, and is a relatively good defensive team that is allowing fewer points than the league scoring average, which is 108. So Washington qualifies for that. And playing against what I would consider a poor defensive team, as you mentioned, and a lot of times these poor defensive teams and points per game is due to pace, and that certainly is the case with the Kings. A poor defensive team in this angle defined by greater than or equal to 114 or more points per game. That combination of parameters has hit 70% winners over the last 25 seasons for a 61-25 over record. And again, 70% winners since 1996. So we're at the end of the show. Ronald, and time to do our best bets for the show. I'll let you lead off.
Yeah, I think my best bet today is going to be the Hawks here. I really do think that they win by double digits on the road against a really sort of struggling and weak Magic offense and defense.
Okay, and my best bet. Boy, it's hard here to really single out a best bet, but I'll do two more. I like the Philadelphia side as a best bet, and I like the over in the Hawks Magic game. So there's two there. Any more you want to add to the best bet list for the show? No pressure.
No, I think that really the Hawks game is it for me on the show. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. Another edition of the NBA Triple Double with three best bets. Hoping to improve on our 14-3 ATS record, or it's hard to improve on that record, actually, mathematically speaking, but at least get a 2-1 or another 3-0 result would be just tremendous for everybody watching.
Yeah.
So, on behalf of Ronald, myself, the Sports Memo TV channels that sponsor these shows, may all the wins be yours.